Buy this resale if you have a budget of $4 million. Let's go. Disclaimer, whatever I share does not constitute financial advice. It is solely based on my opinion on what is right or wrong. So please do your own due diligence. If you're liking the content so far, please hit the like and subscribe button, as your simple gesture will help a lot with the YouTube algorithm. If you're interested to find out more about property related matters, please find all the social media handles I am on, or you can just directly reach out to me on WhatsApp. Separately, I have also set up a Telegram group at the start of the year so that we can have a discussion that we as agents are not allowed to do so online, which is to talk shit. So if you are interested to get into a community that talks about everything under the sun about property, please scan the QR code, or for the boomers out there, I have pasted the link in my description. We're going to close the group invitation in probably a month or 2 times, so head over and I will see you there. Now back to the video. So back to yet another video on choosing the right resale. This time we answer the golden question: what should you buy if you have a budget of $4 million? Well, of course, freehold landed. At this level already, you are entering the range where you should actually start looking at landed. Specifically, what? Not cluster. I mean, leasehold landed also okay, but price must be right, because our focus today is on freehold terrace, because you're too poor for semi-detached or larger Now this terrace, it can be anywhere in Singapore, but today I also will be talking about what sort of houses should you strike and the thought process behind determining if the landed you are planning to get will make you that giant pot of gold or not. First things first, landed is the ultimate asset class in Singapore. Only 73,000 of such freehold status. You ask anyone in the room if landed signifies a certain status, everyone will tell you, you own a landed, then you feel shocked. In land-scarce Singapore, it gives you an opportunity to own a piece of land that will just only appreciate in time to come. Now, some appreciates higher, some appreciates slower. What determines your profit margins? Your entry price for a given home. To a certain degree, I will still use my QPE framework to analyze it, but I know that the exit strategy is a useless matrix to discuss on, as the exit for landed is always there. You will always have demand. So when you start to look for landed, you will instead just focus on the location, land, layout, and price. I'll come to that in a bit. Now, the way you look at condo and the way you look at landed are vastly different. Condo units are quite similar in the sense that for entire stack, the layouts are all the same and everything is pretty much predictable. Now, for landed, unless you get into a neighborhood like Loyang per se, where their houses are more or less built the same, every single house is actually very unique. Every single house tells a different story. You can be along a certain street, a brand new home, but beside you could be a 1-story house that probably is haunted. But haunted also doesn't mean cannot buy. Just tear down the building, do a simple ritual, bless the place, rebuild the property, and voila, you got a brand new home. But along the way, you just part with anywhere between $1.5 to $2 million for that. You see, depending on the quality, the location, the layout of the house, whether it's a 1-story, a 2-story, a 2.5-story, or 3.5-story, you pay a certain price according to what it is. The key challenge for you as a consumer would be to understand each type of house, what sort of range people are willing to pay for. Again, just like looking for a resale property, if you don't understand the comparisons and price points everywhere, you won't know if it's cheap or expensive. Now let's look at different houses in District 20 as an example. For a start, per square foot has been the commonly used indicator of price, but in today's market, entry level is still key. Now imagine 1,600 square feet and 2,600 square feet of land, both haunted house. If I were to put a price of 2,000 per square foot, one will be $3.2 million and the other will be $5.2 million. Now you have to understand that sometimes when the size is too big, it might work against you to the extent if you just purely use per square foot to put a price on it. The total absolute number could hit prices that is closer to a corner terrace or semi-detached. So entry level is very important. It is what people are willing to pay for. If your terrace absolute price tag starts to creep into the semi-detached or corner terrace price range, then isn't the answer obvious? Either the semi-detached is too cheap or the terrace is too expensive. Anyway, back to the example, we start from the cheapest. A one-story house. You can say you can renovate inside, but the reality is one-story houses, you just really have to rebuild to maximize the value in it. One story, you spend massive renovation also doesn't mean anything as it's still a one story. Then a one story, if you want to do like A and an A, will make it look very silly because you increase by another 0.5 level to make it like 1.5 story, but your next target audience will likely still factor in rebuilding costs into it. So one story houses are usually the lowest hanging fruit, and by District 20 standards, it hovers between like $3.2 to $3.5 million in today's market. Land size is anywhere between 1,008 to 2,000 square feet. Now remember, one story, 3.2 to 3.5 million dollars. Moving on to the second category, two-story contemporary houses that might be like 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. Okay, the range likely is between $3.7 million to $4 million. Usually this kind of house, depending on how underutilized it is, you might explore the option of doing an A&A by spending 6 to 700k to make it probably a 0.5 level higher, and to also extend the house on the front or the back on level 2. Or if the layout is good enough, just a thorough renovation should be good. The category, 2.5 or 3-story houses. Now it will be between the $4.2 to $5 million depending on the age of the house or renovation done. Now these kind of houses, usually the GFA already quite maxed out, so very often your focus is only that of an extensive renovation at best. And the last category is brand new houses. It is also the category that are usually suitable for lazy people who want a brand new house but do not want to go through the hassle of rebuilding it and spending that kind of money and time. The end users are usually people who really don't have time to manage all this, and of course the premium you pay gets factored into the eventual price tag so that you can take a loan on it. Because for rebuilding, you can't take a loan on it, or rather at best it's a construction loan, but it's really more capital intensive somewhat. Can you imagine you also got to continue paying installment while the house gets rebuilt? I can tell you, this one really is very shag. And for the final category, the price range is usually above $6 million right now. Okay, so now you know all the different category of prices in District 20. Then when you start to look for houses, example, if you chance upon a one-story house asking for $4 million, knowing that, remember, the price range is $3.2 to $3.5 million, then of course, it's expensive because that $4 million creeps close to a 2.5 to 3-story house price range. Similarly, if I were to get a 2.5 to 3-story house at under $4 million, knowing the transactions are usually between $4.2 to $5 million, then it is a steal. So now you know why the understanding of price points are very important, right? If you don't understand them, you won't know if you're overpaying or not. So in today's episode of Pocket View Resale, I'm telling you the best way to really unlock value in the house is to actually buy a 2 to 2.5 story at under $4 million. Preferably as close as possible to the lowest range of $3.7 million. And if the layout is good enough, just do a thorough renovation. Okay, let me give you an example. If you can get a very old 2-story house with a good layout at the lower percentile of $3.7 million to $4 million range of 3.7, spend $400k or so to fully renovate the place, your total cost including stamp duty will be somewhere around $4.2 to $4.3 million. Now keep in mind that the 3-story brand new properties are usually trading $6 million and above, right? Now how will you have unlocked the value, your 400k renovation cost? Now with cost of around $4.2 to $4.3 million, can I look to sell towards the $5 million range, since it's not exactly the same value as a brand new house, right? But maybe trade a tier below that. Why is that considered unlocking value? Because not everyone needs a 3-story house, but everyone appreciates a hassle-free move into a fully done-up house. Fully done up means fully renovated. By spending $400k to make it almost new internally without altering much of the layout, I get to create this perceived value at a fraction of the cost. Now, can I extract another $700 to $800k out of it? Quite possible. But why won't be buying a single story to rebuild be better? I'll give you an example. Assume you buy the land at $3.4 million, okay? Fair price. My cost to rebuild is about $1.5 to $2 million. I add that to my stamp duty, whatnot ever, it means my break-even is approximately between $4.9 to $5.5 million. Then how much is a brand new development today costing? $6 million and above, right? Do you make that much? Not really. And I also haven't calculated, as mentioned, you paying interest for the installment and not collecting a single cent of rent for close to 2 years while rebuilding, because the cash flow also can be quite shag. So yeah, just buy 2 to 2.5 story house with a good layout to renovate, and And that's really the market sweet spot and the most sensible thing to do to position your landed at a very, or rather much higher price. Because for $4 million and slightly under for a resale, I'll be focusing my efforts to search for a landed to buy. Now the above example used is for a property in District 20. Understand that different districts will have different price points to the ones that I have just illustrated as per above. Like if you go towards East Coast, the entire price range rises lah. Now if I move towards the north, price range comes down. So if you're looking specifically at a certain area, then all you got to do is just to understand the unique price points and range in that locale. Again, I'm going to shamelessly plug my services again if you want to get a perspective on different price points across Singapore.
WhatsApp me okay?
Because landed will always be the most sought after class after all. Is it for everyone? It is not, because even if you have the down payment and income to make that purchase, maintaining it is on another whole new level.
Not to mention the return yields are too young.
It has its own pros and cons, just like how a condo does. Now to stress test to see if you're ready for a landed or not, it's very simple. Can you pay for the down payment? Can? You have money stashed aside for a massive renovation and day-to-day expenditure? If cannot, then it's not for you lah. Just buy your condos. But if you have that financial mean, then landed at this price range is really the safest bet you're gonna make in time to come. Only thing again is don't expect prices to rise bigly. I use the slang bigly in the shorter term. You better be prepared to hold for the longer term. It is the perfect asset class, but then again, it might not be for everyone.